everyone. Welcome back to Movin' Right Along, a Muppet movie podcast brought to you by toughpigs.com. It's the podcast where we talk about a bunch of Muppet specials, the whole special at a time, and talk about them a lot. I'm your host, Anthony Strand.
And I'm your other host, Ryan Rowe.
And joining us today, we have our most frequent guest on the podcast. He's back. Who are you, person that's back?
You can't get rid of me. I am Joe Hennis, co-owner of toughpigs.com. Hello, everybody.
And co-owner of my heart.
Oh, that's adorable.
Yeah. It's always a thrill to have you on the show. All right. So what are we talking about today? We are talking about John Denver and the Muppets, A Rocky Mountain Holiday. This is a special that aired on ABC on May 12th, 1983. So just about a year after Fantastic Miss Piggy show. And this is the first time the Muppets have done anything since then. They're back once again for another special. And like, I gotta be honest, this is a weird one. It's mostly songs.
Well, it's sort of the opposite of the Fantastic Miss Piggy show, which I know we'll get into some of the specifics, but we talked last time about that special and how it's just like all Piggy all the time. The other Muppets barely get anything to do. And like there's all these different weird ideas crammed into it. But this thing is like there's almost no Piggy at all. It's all the other Muppets instead.
Yeah.
And there like nothing actually happens. There are very few ideas.
Right, that's true. So let's just get it out of the way, like up front. I just want everyone to say like real quick, what do you think about this in general? What are your thoughts? How do you like it, Ryan?
I should say I think this is maybe only the second time I had watched this all the way through. Maybe the third.
Me too, actually. This was definitely the second for me.
I never owned the DVD of this that came out. I think Joe and I were living together when that DVD came out. So I watched it with Joe, and then I don't know that I had ever seen it again. Theoretically, it should be a lot of fun and very pleasant to just watch the Muppets kind of hanging out with John Denver. And sometimes it is very pleasant, but then other times I kind of wish that there was more actually happening.
Yeah. Joe, how about you?
It's funny. I have memories of watching this, like, probably since the DVD came out several times. But if I didn't watch it with you, Ryan, I don't know when I would have watched it. I wouldn't have like sat down by myself and be like, I'm going to watch Rocky Mountain Holiday.
You don't think you introduced it to your wife, Sarah?
No, because she just watched it for the first time with me in preparation for this podcast. Oh, yeah. So I don't know when I watched it, but I've definitely seen it a few times. It is not good. I agree that like there's good moments in it, and it's funny because, and I'm sure we'll talk about this, but like it feels like there are a few segments that feel sort of like it's a UK spot on the Muppet Show. So it's like I appreciate like this like little 2-minute segment by itself, but like within the context of the special as a whole, like that 2-minute segment doesn't work. So the whole thing I feel like is just a mess. And I also want to add, I mentioned to a couple of friends beforehand that like, oh yeah, I'm watching this thing. We're going to be doing a podcast about it. And when I mentioned like John Denver and the Muppets, Rocky Mountain Holiday, like there was at least 3 people who said, like, oh, I love that thing. And I'm like, hang on. I don't think you do.
Yeah.
You're thinking of the other John Denver and the Muppets thing. You love that, and that's okay. That's a whole nother conversation.
It's not a Christmas Together. It's a Rocky Mountain Holiday.
Right. And then they respond with, "Oh, I've never seen that," and I go, "That's fine. Just don't."
Right. Well, and it's like we didn't cover the Christmas special, which maybe we should. I think if we were doing it now, we would have, because it did air after the Muppet movie, but. Oh, well.
Oh, yeah. Why didn't we?
I think we were only thinking we were going to do like movie specific things at that time.
Oh.
Huh. Yeah, it wasn't promoting a movie.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah, you skipped it.
But I actually, I had only seen this once before, right after the DVD came out. And my memory of it was that it was like the worst. And watching it again, I gotta be honest, I enjoyed it more than I expected to. I think.
Oh no!
Well, I think I had spent like 15 years building it up as like this is the worst thing the Muppets ever made, or something. And like,
Anthony,
here's the thing, Joe.
Can I just?
Do I love this? Do I love John Denver, A Rocky Mountain Holiday? No, But is it better than Muppets Now? Yeah, it's better than Muppets Now. Like, come on.
But Anthony,
and that's fine. We don't have to hate everything.
Right.
No, we shouldn't. Or else, if we did hate everything, then this would be a horrible podcast. But
Right.
but Anthony, the only reason I wanted to be on this episode of the podcast was I was so looking forward to you specifically complaining about how much you hate this special.
Here's the thing. I will have many complaints. I liked more than what I expected to, I guess.
Sure.
So,
I will also say that my main association / memory with this special was a comment, Anthony, that you made on the Tough Pigs forum a few years ago, complaining about a specific joke involving Fozzie.
So
that's the first thing I think of when I think of this.
Yeah, same here.
Same here. Funny. So here's the thing: we can't go through this thing minute by minute or scene by scene because it's just. I mean, it's John Denver and the Muppets go camping. They sing a bunch of songs.
There's no structure.
There's some comedy or comedy in air quotes bits, right? For the most part. And then they go to bed. That's literally what happens.
So it's the same plot as Follow That Bird.
It's no.
Yeah. That like everyone kind of goes out, they go outside for a while, and then everyone falls asleep. That's Follow That Bird.
But Follow That Bird, everyone sleeping is bookended by exciting chase scenes.
Yeah. Here's the thing.
So is this because it's bookended between Great Muppet Caper and Muppets Take Manhattan. Sorry.
There you go.
Good.
But so let's go ahead and talk about the comedy, quote unquote, first then. So I think the joke you guys are thinking of is when Fozzie picks up something and says, "Hey, look, a football," and Kermit's like, "No, that's," or Scooter, I think. It's like, no, that's
it's Kermit.
It's Kermit. Yeah. Says that's a wasp's nest. And Fozzie's like, "What? Hey, whoa, a wasp's nest." And that's a running gag in this is that Fozzie doesn't know what things are. And it's he thinks that a wasp's nest is a football. He thinks that snakes are worms.
Yes. When John Denver and Floyd are going fishing, he offers them some worms for their fishing, and nope, those are snakes.
Right. And also he tries to start a fire and accidentally lights his paws on fire. Which, we talk a lot about how Fozzie has gotten to be too dumb, post Jim, post Frank or something. Post Jim, I guess. It's like Muppet Treasure Island, right? Or whatever.
Yeah.
But this is the dumbest Fozzie. He's too dumb to live. He's this is like a season 12 Homer Simpson or something.
And the fact that that's pretty much all he gets to do in this is just do very dumb things. I guess removed from, although I don't know, they did it in the movies. They were true to his character without making him too stupid.
Well,
so
let's talk about who wrote this, which is Joseph A. Bailey, who wrote for the Muppet Show and who should know better, right? And John Stone, who was the head writer of Sesame Street for years, directed a ton of Sesame Street segments. This is the only time he ever wrote the Muppet Show characters. It's the only time.
He didn't write some books or something.
I mean, he may have, but as far as the TV,
but an actual,
but also those
special,
a bunch of those Muppet books are Miss Piggy wants everyone to clean up the park.
Right.
Those don't count.
Yeah, they're Sesame Street books.
They're Sesame Street books with Muppet skin on, right?
And that's what I was thinking watching this, and just thinking about those guys having written it, because Joe Bailey was also a writer for Sesame Street,
right?
So there are times where this kind of just feels like one of those episodes of Sesame Street where they leave the street and they go out,
right?
To New Mexico or something, but in this case, they're going to Colorado.
Well, and here's the thing: replace all of that Fozzie material with Grover doing it, and it's okay, sure, yeah. Grover's trying to help, but he doesn't know anything about anything. Sure,
right. Even the joke where Kermit says, "Okay, let's pitch our tents," and Animal throws the tent in the water. I thought, oh, that could be. I mean, Grover's not that strong, maybe, but that sounds like something Grover would do.
Right. Yeah.
So real quick, I'm on John Stone's Muppet Wiki article right now, and I had forgotten that he was one of the writers on Sex and Violence.
Sex and Violence, so, right? Which
that was a thing.
I mean, but that doesn't really have the Muppet Show family.
No, for sure.
Unless the Muppet Show family is Nigel and Sam the Eagle, I guess. Whatever.
He also wrote, or was one of the writers. I'm not sure how many people worked on that. Julie on Sesame Street, which is basically a long episode of the Muppet Show. That's more Muppet Show That's more appropriate for the Muppet Show characters than this special.
Than this is, right. They swapped kind of,
right.
yeah.
Hmm.
But I think that, like, realizing that Jon Stone wrote this, like, kind of made me think of it as, like, a Sesame Street sing-along episode or whatever, and made it, you know, again, would I show this to anyone and be like, this is the Muppets at their best? No.
You would never start with this.
But, like, there's, you know, I don't know, some of the songs are pleasant, you know?
You might show this to a John Denver fan who had never seen it, because they'd probably love it.
Yeah, I was actually actually, it's funny. We were watching this last night. My wife, Roz, had also never seen it. And at one point she goes, does your dad love John Denver? This seems like something your dad would love. And he doesn't, but, like, he loves any music from the 70s, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know. So here's a question about the comedy. Is there anything in this special that's actually funny?
I like Statler and Waldorf sitting in their nice fancy chairs in the middle of the woods.
That's not a joke, though. That's
just
like that's a silly
joke.
visual.
But it's, you know? I do think it's funny that Statler and Waldorf are both dressed like Mr. Steed from the Avengers for some reason.
Yeah, why are they wearing bowler hats?
sitting in the woods.
That's what they wear when they go out camping.
So weird. Yeah, I don't know. There's one joke that made me laugh out loud in this, which is that Miss Piggy sent John Denver a perfume-scented letter, and Floyd says, I haven't smelled anything like that since I was stationed in Marseille. Which, the idea that Floyd was a soldier in World War II makes me laugh very hard. Like, what a strange joke.
Know, his full name is Sergeant Floyd Pepper, so maybe he really was a sergeant.
That's
interesting.
In World War II.
Oh, here's a joke that I found droll. I'm not going to say I laughed out loud, but when so Gonzo and Fozzie, when they're walking through the woods at the beginning of the special, and I don't remember what Gonzo says to him about, you know, the woods, like being at home in the woods. And but I wrote down what his response was. It's Gonzo, 'tis to laugh. Have you not noticed I am from the Ursine persuasion? And then he gets chased by a grizzly bear, and which is like the first step in that whole Fozzie is so dumb thing, even though this isn't about him being dumb. But he says, as he's being chased, he speaks grizzly, I only speak Paddington.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I do like that.
I thought that was cute.
Yeah.
That was a decent line. And I also wanted to say about the whole like Fozzie Bear runner. So I don't know which of these two podcast episodes is going to come out first, but Anthony, you and I just had a big conversation about the Muppets 2015 sitcom episode, Bear Left, Then Bear Right, in which Fozzie Bear is in the woods for half the episode. And it's just interesting that like this is kind of like that was kind of a continuation of this, where Fozzie is a city bear who is like in the woods trying to survive and failing miserably.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, that works for me.
Sure. And then again, like we're like you guys are about to start covering Muppets Take Manhattan, and he's going to do something similar where he goes and lives in a cave and doesn't know how to do it.
That's true. So it is part of Fozzie's character. Although Muppets Take Manhattan, that's funny. Fozzie trying to hibernate is funny.
For sure. Well, yeah. I mean, that's the thing is like, and also Fozzie trying to hibernate isn't about how stupid Fozzie is. It's about Fozzie is you know like a fish out of water, so to speak.
Right.
To mix my animal
he's trying
metaphors.
to do the bear thing, but it's not what he's used to.
Right. But like, it's not even just Fozzie. I mean, like we keep talking about Fozzie, but like a lot of the characters don't feel like themselves in it. Like Rolf is somebody who's so addicted to television that he brought a 16-mile extension cord to the woods.
That's one where I thought like, is this why is this Ralph? Like it could have. That's another one that felt like it could have been given to Gonzo, or it could have been given to Scooter.
Yeah, Scooter's the one, I think.
Yeah, maybe.
But
although Rolf is the one who had a hit TV show before the rest of them, so he just wanted to see what was going on on the Jimmy Dean show.
The Jimmy Dean show.
He never misses an episode.
He never misses a rerun of Jimmy Dean on Channel 9. But yeah, so I don't know. Like, and Gonzo's nose is sharp enough to pop an inner tube in this special.
Can we talk about that sequence for a second?
So the sequence in question is that Rolf is out floating on an inner tube, hanging out, which I think Rolf looks adorable, frankly. And then
he does, but he's kind of like folded in on himself. Like his feet are basically touching his chin.
Yeah,
I think they just did the best they could to make to fit the puppet in the inner tube and make it look natural.
Yeah, and then Gonzo swims up to him and pops it with his nose, which is
in like kind of a quasi Jaws thing where it like
yes, and in the original broadcast, it was like sort of a jazzy arrangement of the Jaws theme by John Williams, but on the DVD release, notably, they replaced it with just some like generic synthesized, dangerous sounding music.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know because I only watched the DVD for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pull your beloved
Ralph
DVD off the shelf. Anyway, sorry, go on.
He ends up in the water, apparently standing on Gonzo's head. Because Gonzo is trying to break a world record for standing on the bottom of a lake with a dog on your head.
But like that was also to watch that scene where like Rolf is in the water. We could see around him, so we know that Jim or someone, probably Jim, is like in the Muppet movie, like in a tank underwater, and he has lines. And then Gonzo says something, and bubbles come up, and it's just like they put a lot of effort into this joke that's not a funny joke for a special that's not a good special. Like they put way too much effort into that whole sequence.
Right. Well, and then Gonzo says, "Somebody call That's Incredible," which is like one of the only like real pop culture references in this thing. And it's like a reference to a TV show that like, I mean, I know it was on at the time. It was on the network. It was on ABC, same network that this aired on. But like, now it just seems like, really? That's the show we're going to talk about? That's incredible?
Well, yeah, I mean, just because nobody, like, the average person does not remember or know about That's Incredible today.
Right. But, so anyways, yeah, all that happens.
The other weird thing about that, though, is that sequence is framed as a flashback of like, oh, remember this funny thing that happened last year when we were here? And there are several times when they do that, and I don't always understand why they don't just have things take place in the present instead of saying, oh, let's remember the thing that happened last year.
I mean, a bunch of them are like whatever Piggy's doing, right? Two of them. Do we want to talk about the two Piggy numbers in this right now?
Sure.
I mean, we're just talking about characters.
So let's go nuts.
So sure. Piggy is not on the camping trip, which makes sense. She shouldn't be. I think it's fine that she's not on the camping trip.
I think that's fine. It would be hard for them to convince us that Piggy would stick around for an entire camping trip.
Right, but we also get two flashbacks to other times that Piggy went camping.
But it's great. Well, first of all, how horrible is it that I didn't notice that Piggy was missing until they said it out loud? So, oops.
Yeah.
But I think to Ryan's point, it's nice that we got a special of the Muppets hanging out in the woods, singing songs and stuff, without having to like worry about them writing in Miss Piggy complaining the whole time.
Right. Which is what I would be doing if I was camping in the woods. So I did miss having someone to relate to. But so we
you are the Miss Piggy of this podcast, Anthony.
I guess so. I guess I am, in the sense that I'm killing myself for one crummy show. But Muppets are great. Okay, Miss Piggy, the first song is She'll Be Coming Around the Mountain, and it's all of them singing new lyrics about how Miss Piggy has a bunch of entourage and stenographer with her and all this stuff.
Like makeup people.
Yeah, and like it's like kind of funny, but it goes on really long. And then it stops being fun.
It's mildly amusing.
That's the thing. It's like one verse amusing, and they do like 4 or 5 verses.
Well, what seemed weird to me, and this is just me as an adult Muppet fan looking back on this thing, 30 years later, but it seemed like a good opportunity to have some cameos from people. Like, were there any recognizable people in there? Like, I feel like Bonnie Erickson and Raleigh Cruson should have been like the makeup people.
Yeah,
or something.
No, I'm not sure.
But yeah, like what a missed opportunity.
Yeah, that is. You're right. Also, the lyrics that they give them are very, sometimes strange and sometimes lazy, right? Like,
well, I like Janice's rhyme. She says she'll be scolding her hairstylist with some language that's the vilest.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
That's good.
But like, they give Floyd the line, She'll be followed by her fan club and the local Superman club. What?
Yeah.
What? Why is...
I don't know. I actually Googled to see...
Why isn't the Superman club getting hyped for Superman 3? Richard Pryor, baby!
I actually Googled to see if there was something like... I didn't know. Maybe there was like a club for manly men to join back in the 80s, but I didn't find anything about a Superman club other than just the Superman fan club.
It was actually Campo.
Yeah.
Campo, which
that was a joke for two. That was a joke for two people,
yes,
and they are both on this podcast.
No, it's for
She'll be followed by her fan club.
The two founders of Campo. That was a joke. What'd you say, Ryan? Sorry, I cut you off.
I said the local Super Ham Club.
Oh, dude.
Oh, that's funnier.
That is funnier. That is funnier.
Thanks.
So remember when Richard Pryor wears a giant foam cowboy hat in Superman 3? That was good.
Yes, and then he skis off the top of a building and falls off the building and lands on the ground on his feet.
It all happens. Superman 3 is way better than this special. All right. So let's see.
Low bar.
Well, it is. It is a low. Oh, okay. Another dumb thing. Miss Piggy. I'm complaining a lot. Miss Piggy writes.
That's what I'm here for.
Miss Piggy writes John Denver a letter. This is a scene that she's not in, but it's like another Piggy moment. She writes John Denver a letter, and John Denver inexplicably says, "I can't read this. Kermit, you read it."
Well, he wasn't wearing his glasses.
Yeah, well, I know, but like it's still, it's just
that's what he could have said.
He could have. You're right. He could have, and he didn't. You're right. Wow.
Yeah.
But then, of course, the punchline is like, "Jonathan, I love you. You're the dreamiest man. Jonathan, I love you."
Like, I'll never forget our time together last year.
Yeah, and then it's like,
everyone at home was going, "Really, him?"
Yeah, right. He's very earnest though, which Piggy wouldn't like. And then it's like, "P.S. Don't show this to Kermit," and that's the whole joke. Well, okay, hilarious. That's such funny.
At least it's a joke. It's not a funny joke, but at least like they bothered to write a joke that has a beginning and middle and end.
Yeah,
which most of these jokes do not in this special.
That is,
and then it leads into the tumbling tumbleweeds
with Miss Piggy again riding on a horse with John Denver. Right?
Yeah, can we talk about Miss Piggy on a horse?
Yeah, man, she looks.
Yeah. How do they do that?
So in the wide shots, it's just obviously like an empty Miss Piggy puppet, and it's just kind of sitting there. But yeah, and when they do the close-ups, she's really on that horse.
Yeah, well, it sure looks like where is Frank Oz?
Sure looks like a real horse.
Did they put Frank Oz inside of a horse?
That was my first thought. It's like, wait, no, that doesn't work.
No, but he must be like just like chilling side saddle on that thing.
Yeah, he has to be.
I mean, incredible. Again, it's not a good special. It's not a good bit. There's no real joke in there, and they put so much effort into it to make it look good.
Well, and there's a lot of like radio control, and it seems like we get shots of like Robin sitting on the ground and like talking to John Denver, and it sure looks like he's really sitting on the ground. Like I don't think they dug a hole and put Jerry Nelson in it.
At one point they did. There was a point, I can't remember exactly where it was, where like you could tell it's Jerry Nelson's hand, Robin's in the ground, but we've seen, like, if you go on the Muppet Wiki, there's pictures of the hole that they dug.
Sure, okay, that makes sense.
That they use for some of the shots. But you're right, like there's a lot of Waldo technology.
Well, he's
Robin is remote controlled.
John Denver is like cradling Robin in his arms at one point, and Robin is singing along, and it looks great.
When they're hiking. Yeah, when they're hiking near the beginning, Robin is sitting on John Denver's backpack.
Yeah.
Like, as they're walking. Like, it looks really, really good.
Oh, that's a funny joke. Speaking of backpacks, there's a joke about how, like, we brought the necessities, and Floyd says, "An animal brought the rest." And then Animal comes in with a giant backpack on, very enthusiastically singing "The Happy Wanderer." Which I thought was like, I laughed at that. It's just like Frank Oz singing "Valdery, Valdery," like with a giant backpack on. That's good. I like that.
I can't believe how neat and tidy all your knapsacks are.
Well, it's all in the planning, John. We made a list, then we packed the bare essentials.
Then we gave the rest to Animal.
Valdery, Valdery, Valdery.
About the hole in the ground, I forgot to go back and watch this, but in Muppet Guys Talking, Frank Oz and Dave Goelz talk about how they actually did build on location. Like the crew dug this giant hole in the ground and like covered up the puppeteers with boards and then put grass and dirt on top of the boards so they could stick their arms up through it and puppeteer through this hole in the ground. And then for some reason they didn't end up, like they couldn't use most of the footage they got, so they had to do it again in a studio anyway. But
yeah, and it ended up being like way more expensive because they had to recreate the outdoor scene that they had already established. And it's funny because like I was looking for it, and I think for the most part, and I could be wrong on a few of the scenes, I think for the most part the stuff during the day is actually outdoors, and the stuff at night, the stuff at night is 100% indoors, because you can tell because the moon is humongous and it does not move.
Right.
But yeah, it's another one of those like, man, it's so uncomfortable to be a Muppet performer.
Yeah.
Right. So
I mean, already they buried Jerry Nelson, Frank Oz was inside of a horse, and Jim Henson's underwater.
Yeah, and then they're all piled into a hole in the ground.
That's right.
Man, it's wild. And again, for a special that's like listening to John Denver sing "Catch Another Butterfly," like you know. So let's get into the songs a little more. Do either of you have any like songs that you thought were enjoyable? Let's say that.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Hit me.
I like "Hey Old Pal" at the beginning.
It's fun.
As they're just kind of driving up to the parking lot, which turns out to be the parking lot and not the campsite. That one's pleasant.
Yeah.
I think "Gone Fishin'," the song that Floyd and John Denver sing while they are fishing, is like, it's just a fantastic song. I think it's one of the greatest Muppet songs. Like, especially like, it's so simple. It's like the lyrics are nice. It's like you got Zoot, who's there, who like didn't join them camping, but he still showed up.
Time we see Zoot.
Yeah, but he still showed up like in full Zoot suit.
He's a pro.
Regalia. He's good. And like you got these like doo-wahs in the background that I imagine are being sung by the fish.
Sure.
In my imagination, I love that thing. It's so good.
John Denver and Floyd sang that on the Grammys. Like
they did,
like in the Grammys telecast that year, which
we should mention too that the soundtrack album for this special was nominated for a Grammy for best
recording for children,
record for children,
yeah.
And it lost to the read-along record for the movie E.T., narrated by Michael Jackson,
and also featuring an original Michael Jackson song, "Someone in the Dark." So it's like that helped, I'm sure, in 1983.
Yeah.
You know,
But
yeah, I actually really like they do a short round called "Lovely Evening," like when the sun is going down.
Yeah,
and I think that's really lovely. I mean, it's called "Lovely Evening," but also it's really sweet. I like it.
Oh, how lovely is the evening, when how lovely is the evening, when our loves are sweetly ringing, oh, how lovely is the dawning, when how lovely is the evening.
For sure, that's a really beautiful rendition. I agree with you.
I like hearing Kermit sing "Grandma's Feather Bed," which we had previously heard them do on the Muppet Show.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I noted for that one, like it fit Kermit's sensibility so well because it's like, I don't know, I feel like we don't see too often like Kermit's, I guess, Southern American sensibilities like kind of come through, and like every once in a while it comes through, like especially like when he's playing the banjo or something like that. But that's one of those things where like you can definitely like hear the Mississippi in Jim Henson's voice. And I don't know, it's a nice song. Kermit sings it well. I agree with you. That was a really good one.
Yeah, that's good. I also you mentioned UK sketches earlier, Joe. Nothing feels more like a UK sketch in this than "Take 'Em Away" by the Jug Band.
Yes,
Leather Blue and his Jug Huggers, which is a song about not littering, and was written by
not littering and also not revving your loud motorcycle.
Right, it's about noise pollution and actual pollution,
and also drinking moonshine. I think there was a verse about moonshine in there.
Right, and
No,
it was
there
written,
wasn't.
It was written by Phil Balsham and Dennis Lee.
Oh,
Yeah.
those guys are awesome.
Yeah, it's the only song they wrote for this, which I think is wild.
All right, if you want to visit our way, if you want to wander the trails for a day, don't forget there's somebody here. Do us all a favor, we don't need your beer cans. Take your candy wrappers, heavy metal blasters, motorcycles revving all day. Hey, if you want to visit our way, wrap them up and take them away. That's right now.
But
It's a catchy song, and just to make sure everyone knows, those are the guys who wrote most of the songs for Fraggle Rock.
yeah, and this is a good one too. So here's what we haven't talked about at all are the John Denver songs like from his albums that he sings by himself.
Yeah, well, that's what I meant. Like, this is when it kind of becomes just like a special for the John Denver fans.
Yeah, right. And again, I'll be honest, I find all that stuff like pleasant enough. Again, it, like I said, it like reminds me of something my dad would have on, whatever. But like, I can't tell any of those songs apart. They all every time one of those John Denver songs starts up, I expect it. I kept expecting it to be "It's in Every One of Us" because like the Christmas album, because the Christmas album is like so in my mind, you know, because I listen to it every year, and then they really start singing "It's in Every One of Us," and I was just like, "What is happening? Am I having a dream now? Like, is this
At the
still?"
very end, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say, like, about those songs, you know, whenever I watch the Christmas special, I forget that there's a good amount of like John Denver without the Muppets in there, and it's like I have to remind myself that like the title of each of these specials, it's John Denver and the Muppets. Like they are 50-50 build, and you know, John Denver. Like there's one John Denver and there's like 15 Muppets in there. So I have so like that he can have a couple of songs. I will say about Catch Another Butterfly, which is forgettable, especially like you say, they all blend together. But like there's a video of him with like a couple of kids and they're trying to fly kites.
Those are his kids.
Were those his kids? I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Which that's nice.
Well, no, it's super nice. But the weird thing about it is that like the kids can't get the kites up.
Right.
So like it's a lot of them running and dragging the kites.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I
don't know. Maybe they had a limited schedule to film that.
I will say though
so.
that I watched about half of this with my son Miles, who's 2 years old, and I'm not gonna lie. Well, during Catch Another Butterfly, I teared up a little bit. You know, it's like all the lyrics. Again, I couldn't sing you the song right now, but all the lyrics are about like my son is doing kid stuff. Someday he'll be a man and stuff. And it's just like, oh, hey, buddy, you know. And he's just like, where Gonzo, where Fozzie, you know, during that song.
And you're like, shut up, kid, I'm having a moment.
Right.
You're like, don't look for Fozzie. You don't need to see him in this thing.
I was like, Fozzie's not in this, but.
He thinks a wasp's nest is a football.
He does.
And your 2-year-old is like, even I know a wasp's nest is not a football.
He was like,
that was the joke,
actually,
by the way.
Fozzie, it's actually a wasp's nest, sir. That's Miles. That's how he talks.
In case we didn't make it clear, the joke that I always associate with this special was the wasp's nest, and specifically Anthony complaining about the wasp's nest joke.
Well, it's really bad. It's awful.
It is dumb.
Yeah. Let's see. So what other songs are there in this? I don't know.
So in I think along with the lovely whatever that one was that you were just talking about with the round and the harmony, their rendition of "It's in Every One of Us." I truly love that song.
Sure, man, me too.
When they do it, when they do it in the Christmas special, I think the version that they do here is really beautiful. But it was also kind of ruined when my wife and I were watching it. And I don't remember who asked the other one, but during the song we said, so wait a minute, what's in every one of us? Is it human hands? Because there's human hands in every one of them. And it's like, well, the tension's broken. The tears go right back up my cheek into my tear duct.
Oh. And of course the answer is that it's in every one of us to be wise. Joe, find your heart. Open up both your eyes. All right? Sheesh.
Sheesh.
Yeah, I don't know why you're walking around with your eyes closed all the time.
No, I speaking of songs, I did forget to mention there's a song called "No One Like You" that John sings to Robin as a lullaby. He goes to check on his little buddy Robin, which I think is adorable.
I was thinking of you, by the way, Anthony, when he had that line of like, "I'm going to check on my buddy,"
because I call Miles.
That's how you refer to Miles.
Yeah,
for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's actually the closest thing to a plot or an arc in this special is Robin is given the instruction by John Denver to make a clothesline, and he builds it too close to the ground, and then he feels bad, and then John Denver cheers him up, and then John Denver goes to check on him a couple times to make sure he's okay.
Right.
That's like the closest thing we get to an emotional story arc.
Yeah. But this song, "No One Like You," is one of my wife's favorite songs from the Muppets. And here's why. It's not because of this special, which she never saw until yesterday. It's because her entire life, since she was 1 year old, she has owned the Reader's Digest Children's Songbook piano book. And there's a whole Muppet section. And if you look on Muppet Wiki, you'll see that it has like I Love Trash. It has Rubber Ducky, whatever, a bunch of stuff, Rainbow Connection. It also has "No One Like You" for some reason.
It's amazing.
So
what a choice.
Yeah. So she just like grew up thinking of this as like one of the classic Muppet songs, And I have heard her play it on the piano dozens of times in the time we've been together. But this was the first time I think this was the first time she'd ever actually seen the scene. Like she'd heard the song on the soundtrack, but like had never didn't know when it was coming. So it was like a big deal for her. Yeah.
Huh. Does that also appear on one of John Denver's other albums, like some of these do, or is it just for this special?
I don't know. I mean, it was not a new song. It was Muppet Wiki says it was written in like the early 70s or something.
Yeah. Okay. Huh. Yeah, that's an interesting choice.
But yeah, and actually, it's funny that that Reader's Digest songbook. We can link to the cover here. The Reader's Digest Children's Songbook. It's on Muppet Wiki. The front cover of that book has Kermit, Piggy, and Floyd on it. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, you don't normally see Floyd in such a prominent position.
Yeah, I mean, it also has like the whole gang from The Wizard of Oz and stuff, and Floyd. So.
Going back to Robin for like a quick second, since we're on that topic, we couldn't get over how tiny he looks, and I think a part of it is like we said before, he's we see him being kind of radio controlled for a lot of the specials, so we do get to see him like full bodied, like head to toe, which is rare for any Muppet, especially Robin. He looks especially small, and then like there's scenes where John Denver is like cradling him, but then when he goes to bed, he's in like a tiny little sleeping bag that's got to be like 8 inches long.
It's so
like,
cute.
It's
adorable.
And there's one shot where he's in the sleeping bag, and like only like the top of his face can be seen. And my wife goes, "Oh my god, he looks like Baby Yoda!" And I went, "He does look like Baby Yoda." Like Robin is totally the original Baby Yoda.
Well, he doesn't have ears though.
He doesn't need ears.
Maybe he'll grow into them. Maybe they'll grow as he gets older.
I'm sure.
Like his tail will drop off and his ears will grow in. Right. Of course.
Yeah. So I think, so any other song related thoughts before we move on from either of you?
Nah.
All right. So there's really only a couple more things that I want to talk about. Well, the big one is. There's a whole runner in this about John Denver telling a story about a giant man-eating chicken and then Gonzo putting on a tux to go get a date with it. And
I mean, this happens in like the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a runner as much as it happens in 2 scenes.
I guess so. I guess it is just 2 scenes, but the first scene involves like someone in a giant chicken suit, like a Muppet chicken, full body Muppet chicken, like running around and being like, "Hey, I'm a chicken with teeth." And everyone is
right,
like,
because John Denver is telling a campfire story about like he says he hears something. Oh, it must be one of those giant man-eating chickens. There's a whole story about an old prospector who stole some feathers from a huge chicken, and the chicken vowed revenge on the human race or something.
Well, the ghost of this giant man-eating chicken, no offense, walks these woods at night. And sometimes, when you're asleep, you can hear the sound of footsteps on the dry leaves and twigs. And you can hear this chicken sniff in the air. And it'll get closer and closer until it sounds like it's right on top of you. And then this giant man-eating chicken will open its huge jaws with that savage beak right down by your head and say,
It's kind of like one of those campfire stories, like the guy with the hook for a hand.
Yeah, at my summer camp, they told the story about Mud Boy.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And then was there a point when you'd be like, and then the door opened, and it was Mud Boy?
Kind of. As far as I remember, we weren't really creative. I think like decades ago, someone forgot the end of the story to the Mud Boy story. So they always ended with like your voice, like whoever's telling the story, the voice gets a little bit quieter and a little bit smoother, and then they shout and they jump on somebody, and everyone goes eek.
Yeah.
And it's,
Right.
Yeah.
Which is what John Denver does.
Pretty much.
But then it turns out that the giant chicken is real.
Yeah. And then Gonzo gets real horny and
as he is wont to do around chickens.
puts on tux, and he's like, I'm going to go get a date with it.
but by the way,
Camilla's
like
not in this. There's no Camilla.
she is. She's
No,
right.
she is.
She's
Is
right
she
next
right
to John
there?
Denver. And
Gonzo, you can't.
Yeah, when he starts talking about chickens, she sort of makes a noise, and he says, "No offense."
Yeah, she's
yeah.
literally right next to John Denver. She's between John Denver and Gonzo as he's telling the story, which must be like, she must be like, dude, really? You're telling a evil chicken story? That's not cool.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's true.
But when Gonzo shows up in his tuxedo, my first thought was like, Gonzo brought a tuxedo camping, and I went, of course Gonzo would bring a tuxedo camping, and I'm like, I'm actually disappointed they didn't draw any attention to that. Because that's a good like, Gonzo, why did you bring a tuxedo? And he's like, well, we're camping, obviously. You know?
Right.
That's good stuff.
That would be the line.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a really bad boyfriend, though. Unless they were on a break. Maybe he and Camilla were on a break.
Well, that's awkward. They went camping together then.
Yeah.
So then,
speaking of which, are Janice and Floyd sharing a tent in this?
I couldn't tell what the sleeping arrangements were.
Toward the end, it looks like they're in a tent, just the two of them. And then when John Denver is going around saying goodnight to everybody, he says, "Good night, guys," and you hear Floyd say goodnight.
Ooh.
So I think this may be a little bit more than we usually see in a Muppet special.
Ooh, so what you're saying is that this special is more adult than the 2015 sitcom.
I wouldn't go that far.
Adultiest content. Janice and Floyd are
Yes,
cohabitating.
it's the adultiest content in the special. That's what I'll say.
I had a couple other things about this man-eating chicken garbage.
Please.
Good.
One is that Gonzo, I don't know what the prompt was. Someone must have said, ask Gonzo, like, aren't you worried it's a man-eating chicken? And Gonzo says, it's a man-eating chicken. It doesn't eat whatever I am.
Yeah, that's pretty funny, I think.
That's
actually.
decent. That's
Yeah,
decent.
I like that.
But, and also, like, so when the giant man-eating chicken shows up, the first thing it does, it like jumps into like the middle of like the Muppets. It like kind of runs around a little bit. But the two things that I was paying attention to were, one is like there's someone who probably can't see very well in this chicken costume who's jumping over a real bonfire, like a real campfire.
Yeah.
So that seemed dangerous. But also like all of your coworkers like are just with their arms through probably some plywood. Like you slip and you accidentally bump into Scooter, and then suddenly Richard Hunt breaks his elbow.
Yeah, right.
So that made me real nervous.
I mean, I'm sure.
I would assume they have some sort of safety measures in place, but you never know.
I mean, did they? This looked like a pretty cheap special.
Well,
They wasted all that money on hollowing out a horse for Frank Oz to be in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Genetically engineering a hollow horse.
Yeah, that's true. They had to raise it from birth. So the only puppeteers credited on this are ones who worked on the Muppet Show regularly: Jim, Frank, Jerry, Dave, Richard, Steve Whitmire, Karen Prell, Kathy Mullen. So it's probably one of them. So it's probably not like, I was thinking it might be like Graham Fletcher or Betsy Bedos or somebody who's like more of like dancing around in full body costumes like that. It probably is like Richard Hunt or somebody, right? Like,
I mean, I would guess it would be Steve Whitmire, just because they tended to give him, in that era, like the characters that were not signature characters.
Yeah, that's true. Although
just like
Rizzo
toss.
Yeah, I was going to say we do see Rizzo hanging out with a T-shirt that says Rizzo on in this.
Yeah, I was gonna make note of that. That's great. I want a Rizzo shirt that says Rizzo.
And you don't even like Rizzo that much.
I don't. Then I'll get a shirt that has my own name on it.
Just you'd probably
people would probably ask you what it meant if you had that shirt with just the name.
Yeah, they'd just be like, "Are you a big Grease fan?"
Yeah, exactly.
Big Stucker Channing.
I'll tell them about how much I love Midnight Cowboy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dustin Hoffman fan.
Stucker Channing was great in Midnight Cowboy. All right. So, anything else? Anything else we want to talk about before we close the book on Rocky Mountain Holiday Forever?
I actually have one more thing that's actually related to what we were just talking about is some of the costumes in this. So first of all, there's a lot of plaid, a lot of flannel. It looks like about half the characters are wearing plaid.
Kermit is wearing,
which I thought was interesting.
Kermit's wearing a flannel shirt with a life preserver, Marty McFly style life preserver over the top of it, which rules.
Yeah, that's the best. That's my cosplay for Comic-Con next week.
I like Animal's shirt just because we never see Animal like dressed for camping. He's wearing plaid also.
I know. I'm just imagining Joe at a con. People are like, "Oh, are you Marty McFly?" And he's like, "No, I'm Kermit and John Denver and the Muppets."
Kermit the Frog and Rocky Mountain Holiday.
Of course.
And the only other thing that I think was really worth noting that we didn't already talk about is Rolf has a tiny cowboy hat.
Yeah,
he barely covers his head.
He's the opposite of Richard Pryor in Superman 3.
So yeah, that's it. I just like the costume. I like that. There were some fun costumes, and
the costumes are good.
Yeah, sure. They're having a good time. Those costumers making tiny clothing for Muppets.
Yeah, that would be a fun job.
That's their job.
Did you guys see the show Prop Culture on Disney Plus?
Yes.
Did you see the Muppet movie episode?
Sure.
There is a scene where he talks to Amy Van Gilder and Callista Hendrickson about making costumes for the Muppet movie. And there's a point where he says something like, "What was the hardest thing about this job?" And Callista Hendrickson says that I'm not still doing it.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And so it's like,
that's a good line, but that hurts a little bit.
It does hurt a little bit, but it's also like, yeah, I'm sure it's the best job in the world. Like making tiny clothes for Muppets, that rules.
Yeah. We should all be so lucky.
Yeah, and listeners, if you haven't watched that, if you have Disney Plus, you've got to watch it, man. They show the El Sleazo sign. There's a very emotional story about the El Sleazo sign in it. All right. So, anything else?
Well, we should probably talk about the scene that was deleted from the DVD release.
Okay. So, this was in the DVD special, which I think we all watched the DVD version today. There's a scene where Rolf inexplicably hiccups, and John Denver says, "Is that a hiccup?" And Rolf is like, "No, that's not a hiccup." And then they just move on. But
it's a complete non sequitur in the DVD version. It's never addressed again.
But in the actual special, as it aired, John Denver is like, "Oh, last time you had hiccups," it's another one of those flashbacks. "I took you for a ride in my airplane." And then John Denver and Rolf fly around in an airplane for a while, like Ernie and Bert on Follow That Bird. And then that cures Rolf hiccups. But why was this deleted from the DVD? Well, it's very sad why. So who wants to tell?
Who drew the short straw?
Well, I mean, so John Denver is really flying that plane in the original broadcast version because he was a pilot and he actually died in a plane crash flying one of his own planes in 1997.
Right. Which it's one of those things where like I don't know if it was like out of respect to his family that they thought it would be too hard like for his actual friends and family to watch this thing and be like, "Oh, there he is flying a plane," in a goof or something.
Yeah, and also like because Ralph is terrified of this plane ride.
Yeah.
Like we never see Ralph this like frazzled.
Right.
He's just like terrified.
Right.
And John Denver is telling him, "Oh, it's perfectly safe," and then he's flying around doing loop-de-loops and stuff.
Right.
So, I normally am against any kind of like removing things or deleting things, but I think this is probably actually a good call.
Yeah, sure, I agree with it. I think, I mean, part of me feels like, well, it is footage of him doing what he loved, and why?
Maybe they could have put it as an extra on the DVD with like some kind of intro.
Right.
Hi, I'm Brian Henson.
Well, something like
in
that.
this scene. Ooh, yeah.
And then
But,
then Rizzo pops up and says, John Denver's real name is Henry John Dusseldorf or whatever. Like he does.
Deutschendorf
like
the
he
Third.
does
Yeah.
in Muppets
Yeah,
Celebrate Jim Henson when John Denver does one of the intros.
But so
I love that joke.
I don't remember where I read this or heard this, so you guys can correct me if I'm totally off base because it's not on the Muppet Wiki. But like, so as you said, like John Denver is really flying this plane. The plane, like he's doing plane tricks, like he's going upside down and stuff. And Rolf is in the other seat. And I seem to remember reading that like Jim Henson was really crouched down with his arm up doing Rolf. Like,
yeah, I was going to mention that too because I guess he'd have to be, right?
I mean, someone would have had to be. I mean, I guess if
that puppet is in that plane.
If it wasn't him, it either meant it was propped up, like it was like a stick and they tied it to the stick, or it was like some trained stunt plane type of person.
Right, but there is a puppeteer, I think. Somebody is working.
It sure
Rolf
looks like it.
shots.
There's a couple of shots where Rolf is like they obviously put a camera on the plane just to get Rolf's reaction, and Rolf looks so terrified he's not moving, and those are the moments where I'm like, is there a person in there? I'm not sure, but also like if I were Jim Henson, I'd be like, just hold on, just don't don't let go.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm putting my arms up in the air as if people can see me on this podcast, but yeah. That's I would also be like scared stiff.
Yes.
And not hiccuping.
Right.
Yeah, especially like to not be able to see. Yeah, that would be frightening.
Yeah. So I guess it's I guess I don't know, do we want to end on a down note that's like, oh, then this reminds us of John Denver's death, but that's all I had to talk about. Either of you guys have anything else?
No, that's all my notes.
I think it's not a bad way to pass an hour or 47 minutes, whatever it is. It's definitely not one of the worst things the Muppets have done. Coming after the Fantastic Miss Piggy show, which we all kind of thought was maybe like a little bit too much. I do think I'd probably rather watch this.
Yeah,
I might have to think about that. But I think if you gave me a choice between watching the Fantastic Miss Piggy show and watching Rocky Mountain Holiday, I think I would watch this.
I'll say this. Fantastic Miss Piggy show held my attention better, I think. This one is like more pleasant as background noise because it doesn't have like...
Right, it's slow, it's meandering.
Yeah, I mean, it's whatever. Like, and again, like Miles was in the room with me, for like half of it, and that was fun, whatever. That dude loves to see Animal,
I agree with that. I think it's good background, and I also like. I mean, going way back to the beginning of this conversation, I knew I wasn't gonna really love this special, but I didn't realize that I was gonna genuinely love. I'd say like maybe almost half of the songs.
Yeah, right.
Like
I
genuinely
some great
enjoyed
songs.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like if nothing else, it felt like one of those like Playhouse VHS tapes that they did of like Rolf's Melodies or whatever they called it. Rolf's
Rhapsodies.
Yeah. Rolf's Rhapsodies. Well, yeah, where it's basically just like here's a bunch of songs that the Muppets did, and like some of them have jokes and some of them don't, and just enjoy the music. And it's like, yeah, that's fine. Like I don't need much. And some of the songs didn't work for me at all, especially like the ones that were just John Denver. But like for the most part, it's just like, yeah, Muppets make music, and I like Muppet music, and that's what we got. So they probably shouldn't have called, if they didn't call it Rocky Mountain Holiday, instead they called it like, I don't know, like Music in the Mountains or something, like to kind of like prepare us for like, that's what this is. This is a sing along tape.
Yeah.
Then maybe the expectations would have helped to get people to enjoy it a little bit more.
John Denver and the Muppets, a laid-back sing-along vacation.
Featuring Gone Fishing.
Yes.
And a giant man-eating chicken.
Hey, isn't it interesting that they did a song called Gone Fishing, and then later, many years later, the Muppets were in that Weezer music video for a song called Gone Fishing?
That song was called Keep Fishing.
Keep Fishing, okay.
So that's, which still makes sense. So they went fishing and then they kept fishing. So
right.
Yeah, well, and then
eventually they finish their fishing trilogy.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
Well, then New Zealand threw the fish and it was gone fish, and then it didn't come back, so it kept fish. And now we just need the fish to return. Someday.
Yes, return fishing.
Yeah, I hope that happens. That's going to be a thrill. That's actually going to be the last thing the Muppets ever do.
That's like the Muppets Ragnarok. It's like they're waiting. The day's going to come that fish will come back to New Zealand's waiting hand, and they'll know that's the day that we're done. The Muppets are dead.
Well,
goodbye, everybody.
Cut to black.
That's going to be sad, but I hope that they get to fight the Hulk in space. All right. So that I think that's all. So thanks for listening, everyone. Thanks for sticking out to the end of this bunch of nonsense. You can always find toughpigs.com on the internet, Facebook, Twitter, all over the place. You can follow Ryan on Twitter at @MeRyanRowe. Joe, where can the listeners find you around?
Well, aside from what you just said, all the Tough Pigs related social media fun stuff that we desperately want you to read and subscribe to, you can find me on Twitter at Joe Hennis. I post there once in a while. And you could also listen to some of the other podcast stuff that we're doing for Tough Pigs on our other channel, which you can find by searching for Muppet Fan Podcast with toughpigs.com. We did a series of interviews with...
In fact, it's Muppet Fan Podcast from toughpigs.com.
Oh, is it from toughpigs.com? Well, I should know that. Thank you for correcting me. Well, we did a series of interviews with notable Muppet fans called 15 Seconds to Curtain. We're going to be doing some reviews of the Muppets 2015 sitcom, now that it's been 5 years. And we're going to have a whole bunch of more fun podcast stuff on that channel, so I hope everyone goes and checks it out.
Yeah, by the time this episode goes up, the Muppets 2015 podcast series will either have started or will be about to start.
Wow, there's so much Muppet content for you guys to listen to. That's so exciting for you.
That's going to be fun. I'm really excited to listen to that. I mean, like you mentioned earlier, I'm in one of them, but I'm very excited to hear the other 16. And
it's going to be dope.
And I hope everyone...
Or terrible. One or the other.
Just like the Muppets 2015 TV show. All right. So keep an ear out for that, listeners. And in the meantime, give us that positive review. Go on there and tell iTunes or Stitcher or Podbean or whatever platform you use that you love Moving Right Along, your favorite podcast. And
keep an eye on this feed, because the next thing we're going to do is start our 2 minutes at a time of the Muppets Take Manhattan.
That's right. The Muppets Take Manhattan is up next. We are going to be...
Yeah, we're going from the Rocky Mountains to New York City.
Next time you hear this podcast, we will be talking about 2 minutes of Kermit whistling over shots from the sky. It is going to be great.
Yeah, we love it.
You should get someone from who went to Vassar College to be in that episode.
I will get the president of Vassar College to appear in the next episode of Moving Right Along. See you then, everyone. Goodbye.
You guys want to throw the pigskin around a little bit, maybe?
That's Joe. That's a wasp.
Joe, that's not a pigskin. That's a wasp nest.
Whoa!
Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Oh, Muppets are bad. Oh, man.